What's up, friends and family? It's your boy Clezzy for another episode of Show Me Cuisine. I'm here always with my food family. To my left, to your right is always my guy John. Today we got cousin Cuisine in here, my man Tezzy.
What it do?
And we're gonna do a show today on something that I believe is a household staple. That if your house hasn't prepared at least some type of version of this, something's probably wrong with your house.
Sure.
Whenever it comes to anything fried, there's a few things that we know we like fried. Fish, shrimp, French fries. Today, we went with the ultimate thing that normally gets fried that is delicious in all households. Fried chicken.
Pollo.
We decided to find a spot that most people don't know about. On last episode, we talked about some of the top fives when you think about certain places. At that time, we were talking about barbecue.
Yep.
With chicken, we're typically talking about the fast food joints. You know, you got your Popeyes, you got your Go Chicken Goes, you got your Church's Chickens, you got your KFCs.
And we have some sit-down restaurants too. We have RC's, we have Stroud's, we have a few different spots.
They serve fried chicken.
Right.
This particular place is known, not to me at least, for their fried chicken.
It wasn't known to me either.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I used to go to school around here, and I didn't even know that place existed. So.
Absolutely. So let me let you know this. They made themselves known today. Brookside Poultry.
Yep.
Fantastic. So we're going to go ahead and talk about a few things about our experience, about the environment, about the taste, to let you know that in the Show Me state, you can go to other places outside of the premier places that you know of to get really good fried chicken. So with that being said, today's game we're playing today is Rummy. I will put the instructions on how to play Rummy in the YouTube channel so you'll know exactly how to play it. So first things first, my left-hand man, Johnny. When dealing with the restaurant, last week we talked about the environment.
Yep.
We talked about everything that caters to your actual taste.
Right.
What did you think about this building setup?
I mean, clearly I liked it. I liked the restaurant a lot. It was, as you know, it was an open style. We could see both the prep part of the kitchen and the cook part of the kitchen. I thought the overall vibe was cool. They definitely had, they had like wireframe chickens. They had, oftentimes you see like a wind compass on top of a building that, with the wind will point north, south, east, west. They had a bronze version of that. On one of the walls or on one of the countertops. I thought it was a cool little vibe. Almost reminded me more of like, I wouldn't be surprised if it was previously like a marketplace. Like if you could come in, grab a little bit of grab some ingredients, take home with you, and also get some fried chicken at the same time. That's the vibe it gave me.
How about you, Tezzy? What you think about the environment?
Well, for me, it's just give you a city vibe. I mean, not a lot of parking. I mean,
Yep.
a ton of cars all over the place. You kind of try to drive around the building, figure out where you're going to park at, wait for somebody to pull out. But the drive, construction stuff going on as well. So it was like, it's a typical thing for me. It's almost like driving downtown Kansas City. It's like in the heart of the city. But, I like the vibe of the place.
Me too.
So, it definitely wasn't a place that just kind of popped out like, oh, what's that place on the corner? It's kind of like a regular office building.
Yeah, you might drive by it if you didn't know where it was at.
Yeah,
We did
for sure.
drive by it.
Yeah, we had to circle around the block.
You drove by it.
I wasn't on navigation.
Hey.
But you were
Hey,
driving, right?
I said go straight. It's gonna be right there on the left. We made a right.
I hear
you.
His
check
fault.
it out.
You
What
see,
I
it was
felt-
2 versus 1. His fault.
Man, what I felt, it was a casual dining experience.
Sure.
Even the customers that was inside the restaurant, you can tell it was a place to where they were familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
They were comfortable with it, to where it's like, hey, look, just throw on something. Let's go on in here. Let's have some good food to eat.
Yeah.
Definitely give you, like I said, with the see-through kitchen, kind of gave you that Chipotle vibe.
Yeah,
You can
yeah,
actually
we
see
talked
your
about
food
that.
being prepared. I definitely can feel that. But it was welcoming. Definitely welcoming. We sat at the bar.
Right.
Which was, just a typical standard type bar. It wasn't nothing fancy or nothing over the top. But it was neatly done, It was a clean surface, which you expect, particularly with COVID times.
It was
But,
a clean service.
like I said, but when you sat down, everything was ready, everything was good to go. We were greeted when we walked in.
We were.
So, that's also a good thing, to be able to be greeted, to know that you're seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't have somebody actually sit us, they were, we were seen. They told us, hey, look, take a seat
where you want.
That's that homely feel. Take a seat wherever you want. We'll come and grab you. We'll come talk to you. So definitely get that portion of it. Tezzy, the move is on you. Like I said, you got to discard and you got to pick up. So you can pick up a card
so
first.
This is my first time playing.
7 cards. Remember, things in order. So 3 of a kind, ace 2 3, king jack 10
of the same
king
suit.
queen jack of the same. Are we sure it's the same suit?
I'm positive.
Only with the 4 of a kind would it have not to be the same suit.
Yeah. 4 8s. It's not gonna be the same suit, but if you're doing runs, it's the same suit. You also can't play around the corner. You can't play king ace 2. Ace is high or ace is low.
So we're gonna make aces low.
It's either one. It's how you play it.
So if he plays ace king queen, you can't put a 2 on that joint.
Yeah, so you could put a 2 on his, but you could put a jack on the opposite side.
Okay.
So y'all gonna have to give me the rundown.
All right. While you doing the rundown, we're gonna start this way. We'll start with you, John, going forward. We'll go ahead and let you go ahead and be the first one. So now we done talked about the environment. We done talked about the interior of the business.
Right.
Customer service. I always believe that customer service is a big proponent in me enjoying my food experience.
Right.
Because you can have some great food, but the customer service is trash, and that throws my food experience off.
Right.
Because now I'm angry. So now
I leave with a negative emotional attitude, and it ruined it has the potential to ruin my whole day.
Yep.
Or at least ruin what I thought about the experience is probably a better way to say that.
So can we all agree that experience was a good experience?
Yeah, it was good.
I would agree. It was pretty impeccable, actually. I mean, you already brought up the fact that we were greeted. The bartender was friendly, was knowledgeable about the non-alcoholic drinks because I don't drink.
Right.
Was knowledgeable about his menu, friendly. I mean, he even interrupted it. Kind of got himself into our conversation about Marvel versus DC.
Yeah.
So he was a friendly cat. I would say customer service was high. I know that they brought us out a free dish, and we'll get to that as well. So customer service was A1 for me.
Definitely was engaged. Like I said, they engaged in the conversation. They didn't do it rudely, but they were actually, kind of like, hey, I want to know what you guys believe on this particular topic,
Right.
And even offered their input. Definitely what was unique to me, I haven't seen it, but my guy John seen it. I don't know if Tez has seen it, and it might be just a COVID thing, but I seen the barcode menu scan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so they have QR. They have a lot of restaurants right now, including Brookside Poultry Company, are doing QR scans. QR code that they put with tape onto the bar or the table, and you scan it with your camera on your phone, and it brings up their menu online, just as a way of giving you another layer of safety, not having to touch the same menu as somebody else. So that was a really nice touch.
So tell your moms, tell your pops, your grandma and grandpa, flip phones don't work.
Facts.
You gotta come in there with an updated device, whether Apple or Android, or else you won't be looking at a menu. Just kidding. They actually did bring us out physical menus as well to go along with those of us who had phones capable of actually picking up that barcode.
Yep.
Now, let's get into that.
It's time.
We got to get into that food. Says you got to pick up a card first, figure out which one works for you. You can only have 7 in your hand, and discard. Yo, they're known for their chicken. So what did I do? I ordered chicken. Now, let's talk about chicken before we get into the restaurant.
Just in general.
In general, because different people make chicken different ways.
Oh man.
You can jerk it.
Yeah.
You can fry it. You can bake it.
Yep. And frying can be different too. You can do wet bake. You can do a wet fry. You can do just a flour dredge. You can do multi-layer where you
broil it.
Yep.
It's a lot of things you can do with chicken.
And let's not forget that grill either, because I'll teach you
grill
something this summer.
You can grill it.
Option right there.
That's the best option right there.
Absolutely. Even though I wouldn't agree with grilling being the best option. I know they say it's healthier, but y'all, I come up with a family. If it ain't right, it ain't fried. I don't care what nobody's saying. You gotta have
if it ain't
if
fried,
it ain't right, it ain't fried. So we gotta fry our food fried chicken has been a staple in our household. When Mom's was in the kitchen, there's various ways of people frying it, whether you're deep frying it. I've seen people cast iron fry
Like
their
a pan,
chicken,
like
pan
pan fried.
fried.
Yep.
Not everybody can do pan fried because it actually requires you paying attention to the chicken, the ability to flip it at the right time, the ability to take it out at the right time.
By the way, on that note, this gave me a pan fried type of feel. By the way, with the feeling of the coating, the color of the chicken that we had. Honestly, it gave me a pan fried type of feel.
Yeah,
I don't know about y'all, but
that
that was the vibe I got off my boneless thigh.
Yeah, I mean, my chicken strips, they were pretty crunchy. Like, they were huge. It was probably the size of half a chicken breast, covered in like it was just fried. It was the best. It was like some great chicken.
Well, let's keep it where we're going because though we all had chicken, we all went to different things on the menu to taste from Brookside.
Mm-hmm.
With me, myself personally, I went with the fried chicken breast with a side of cheesy potatoes and fresh cut green beans. Tezzy went along with the chicken tenders, I believe, with some Parmesan
home fries.
French
fries, but they were like home fries.
Beautifully cut.
Yeah, beautifully.
My guy John, as he spoke about, he went with the fried thigh, but he also blended in some shrimp and grits. So we definitely looking forward to hearing what he has to say about that.
Fire.
So I'm going to start to the right. Tezzy, go ahead and talk a little bit about those tenders, man. What did you think about chicken tenders? Because, you know, those are a staple across all sorts of bars, all sorts of fast food restaurants.
Yeah, you talk about a thing that's not specific to one restaurant. You find that anywhere.
So you've had them. You've had tenders before.
From any place.
So what you think about these in comparison to the ones you've had?
So the tenders that I'm usually obsessed with would be something like Raising Cane's or Chick-fil-A or something like that. Okay. So I'll go in there and order, and of course I try not to get the same thing, but it just kind of stuck out because all the seasoning they had. Of course I wanted to try their house seasoning, like the high sauce, the buffalo sauce they had on the chicken tenders. And so I got that, and they came with cabbage. The chicken tenders were huge, they were nice and juicy when I cut into them. Oh man, just juicy, juicy. Like not no dry chicken tenders you throw in the microwave, none of that.
Who's it on?
It's I think it's me. Yeah.
So you said they were juicy. So now what about them home fries? Because they did give you a nice plate of those home fries.
Yeah, the home fries, they were a nice size too. They cut them, they were probably like, I say, maybe a fifth of like a whole baked potato. They just sliced them in half. They put Parmesan, looked like green onions and stuff on it as well. And it came with their sauce, which looks like maybe like ketchup, was it mayo or something like that?
I think it's called a comeback sauce.
Comeback sauce, yeah.
And comebacks usually mayo, ketchup, and seasonings, along with, you know, anything that they consider their special whatnots.
Yeah. So I had that, and they came. I think I had like 5 tenders, and I would say it got me full. It got me right. Like I was good afterwards. Like even when they brought the duck, I was like, oh man, more food. Like, so but yeah, it got me right. And I would say it was definitely worth it. But I will say like the one thing, mine was $11. So it was, and that's like not even including the fries. Like the chicken, So the chicken itself was $11. So that's probably the only thing I would say I was wrong with, like the whole like my order within itself.
And not the food being wrong, but like if you had one negative to say.
Yeah, if I did.
Like value is like, hey, it's not the best value you get for chicken.
But I will say it was definitely worth it though. Like it was definitely worth it.
So then the cost actually still went with the amount.
Well,
now.
yeah.
It's not something that you would probably do every day, but for an experience, hey, I'm just gonna go out here and enjoy myself. I don't mind dishing out $11 for it.
Exactly, because when I was ordering chicken strips, I wasn't expecting them to be that big, nor was I expecting, you know, anything that I actually got out of the whole thing.
Sure.
So I think it was great within what I ordered. So.
Is it on you? Or you already
It's on him.
All right, while it's on him, John, because you went ahead, you tried the fried chicken.
I did.
You went with the thigh, you went with that dark meat.
I did.
And you went ahead and said, let me go ahead and shrimp and grit you.
Yeah.
So go ahead and give me that southern review.
So first off, shout out to all my dark meat eaters. Dark over white all day long.
Protein.
Juiciness is actually why I go to dark meat over light meat all day. And maybe you'll be able to speak on if that white meat was juicy, but it was the meat was juicy, fellas.
Mm-hmm.
The seasoning was on point. I could have used maybe a little bit of spice, like some red pepper or cayenne or something in there to give it maybe a little bit of kick.
Mm-hmm.
But that didn't leave me feeling like it was bland. Dang, you just gonna skip over me? I ain't even gone yet.
Man, I thought you put that other
I'll
3
put,
down.
I'll put that down.
Well, guess what? You're going to get it either way.
Give me your card, sucker.
So you definitely could use a little bit of spice.
Yeah.
Put it down.
He's pausing because he's thinking about this work he's going to do.
But comeback sauce was especially good. I haven't had a good comeback sauce here in quite a while. He's talking about giving me work, by the way. He's got as many points on the table as I do, so I don't know who he's talking to. And he's got 1 card left. He thinks he's special. It's okay.
Can I grab some anywhere on you?
Yeah.
Okay, just
the
on
top.
top.
Yes,
Just
you
the
can.
top.
Yes, you can.
Just the top, bro. You can't
You're
grab
thinking
the
of
bottom.
gin.
I'm thinking of how to play it right. You can't
You
just
don't know
grab
how to play it.
rando cards.
Yes,
Out
I
the
you
can't
top.
played this before. They arguing about rules and they got me.
Here's
all-
the
He don't
top.
know what he's
He
talking
don't
about.
know.
He don't know what he's
Just
talking
look at the
about.
first episode of Uno.
Look.
We see what these dudes be doing when it comes to rules. But
How you
anyway,
gonna talk about Ray and he ain't even here, bro?
I just said look at the episode. I
Right,
didn't
but you
say a
said these
person.
dudes, didn't you?
These dudes.
Right,
when it comes to rules.
Look.
But yeah, go ahead. You said
But the comeback sauce was probably one of the best I'd had in a while. You get it. Freddy's fry sauce is something similar, to give you guys a little bit of context. Now, let me get to the shrimp and grits. Last week, when we were reviewing Scott's Kitchen, I talked about that one of my, not even so much negatives, but one of my suggestions would be if you're going to say something's a cheesy potato, I need full cheese flavor. I need cheese to be all up in there. And I say the same thing about shrimp and grits. If you're going to say that a classic shrimp and grit is a cheesy grit with shrimp and with some sort of tomato-based, sauce on top of it, and that's a classic method for making it, I'm going to need my grits to be cheesy. And these were. These were very, very cheesy, very well seasoned grits, Clee. Like I got nothing negative to say about that dish. The shrimp was on point. It was cooked well. The only thing I'll say is that, and this is more personal preference than anything, guys, is I prefer my grits to be a little bit more smooth. And this was thicker, closer to like a thick oatmeal. Now, do not let that keep you from ordering it though. Don't let that keep you from ordering it. Go in there with open expectations. Understand that you're going to get a great plate of food if you order the shrimp and grits. I have nothing to say about the flavor. I'm simply talking about when I order a shrimp and grit, I'm expecting something to be a little bit, I want it to move around the plate. Similar to a risotto. I want my risotto to move a little bit around the plate. And that's pretty much my meal in a box. Like I got the 2 things and I got no negative complaints other than I was expecting one thing, and they had a different take on that, which is not negative at all, actually.
Nothing wrong with that. Both of the meals look fire. You know how it is when you get your meal. The first thing you start looking at is everybody else's in comparison to yours.
Right.
Their meals looked on point. It looked like one of those things where if I would have ordered it, I would have been perfectly fine with it. But I decided to go with the traditional thing, the thing they're most famous for, which is their fried chicken meal, which was their chicken breast, white meat. Believe it or not, though, I'm more of a wing guy as opposed to a breast guy. But I will take a breast every now and then if it is cooked correctly. So I had that fried chicken breast. I also had the cheesy potatoes, and I had the fresh cut green beans. Now, let me tell you this much. My guys that were there with me, they noticed. This is how you can tell if a side is good. If you don't get to your primary until the last thing to eat.
Right.
Yes.
I started with the green beans. When I tell you these fresh cut green beans were delicious. I've had them before to where some of them taste like they just picked them, threw them on your plate and said, eat them. These were cooked perfectly, and you can taste a hint of butter on top of it, which
good.
gave it a sultry feel in your mouth. It was delicious. So I kept picking at the green beans back and forth. I didn't even move to the cheesy potatoes until I was finished with my green beans. So then I slid over to my cheesy potatoes. When I tell you, he was just talking about it. He said, look, when you say something's supposed to be cheesy, it's supposed to be cheesy. When I scooped up my first helping of those cheesy potatoes, I close my eyes.
Piece of heaven.
Piece of heaven.
You know, old grandma.
One of those shaking those head things, like
disappointment in you. That's an old grandma disappointment. When they shake their head, I close my eyes and I thought about what I just placed in my mouth.
Right.
I enjoyed what I placed in my mouth.
Right.
I opened my eyes to make sure what I placed in my mouth was actually what I was looking at, and
that you had more of it, I bet.
And it was, oh my goodness.
And there was still more left. Like,
they were soft. One of the things that you will notice about any type of cheesy potatoes is how it's cut and how the potatoes are cooked.
Right.
You don't want potato salad potatoes to where, what I mean by that is a little bit harder.
Almost crunch.
Almost. You don't want them crunchy because you know you really didn't cook them if they're crunchy.
Mm-hmm.
But you can tell when they're hard. These were perfectly mashed to the point to where if it was a cube, it was still soft enough when you bit into it. It melted as if it was mashed.
That's good.
Yeah, that's great.
The cheese, I don't know if they had sour cream to give it a softness to it, but it was. I'm sorry, bro.
He'll be going back for just the chicken potatoes. Like,
I told him that. I told him. I said, look, y'all, if they gave me a plate of this, I would have just did that. It was delicious. And then we wrap it all the way around. So once I completed my sides, I dug into that fried chicken. The first thing I did was I took a piece of the crunch. Anybody knows what you mean by the crunch. That is the actual skin of the fried chicken.
Or breading, yeah.
Or the breading of the fried chicken. There's a little piece to the side, a little nugget. I pop that thing in my mouth first.
Right.
When it comes to fried chicken, it's always about seasoning.
Right.
You don't want over-seasoned fried chicken.
Right.
Where when you bite into that thing, all you taste is salt.
And pepper.
Pepper, whatever the ingredients they're using. You want it to have a blended effect to where you get that meat flavor and you get the seasoning from the crunch of your chicken, whatever breading that is that you're using.
Right.
They did a perfect blend of seasoning and how they cook their chicken breast. Because anybody knows that if you're dealing with any type of white meat, it can get dry.
Yeah.
You cook it wrong.
Yes.
This wasn't dry.
Which is generally why I avoid white meat altogether, because most people can't cook it right.
Absolutely. They cooked it right.
Oh, good.
So when I tasted that was the finale of my plate. That was when I knew I would recommend this place. In accordance to their fried chicken. If this is what you're known for.
Right, if you got poultry in your name.
Right.
You might want to know something about chicken. Or birds, honestly. Like, there's more birds than that. We'll get to that here in a second. But, yeah, you might want to know what you're doing with chicken if you're going to call yourself a poultry company.
And they definitely knew what they were doing.
They knew what they were doing. Everybody that we passed on the way into the restaurant had some form of chicken on their plate, whether it was a sandwich, whether it was just fried the original way, it didn't matter. And to top it all, our host, I want to say he's probably the owner.
That would be my best guess.
Of the business of Brookside, decided to go a step further. And they actually provided us with, was it a half cooked or was it a full bird? I don't know if it was a full bird.
That would have been a full bird.
Well, it was a full duck. They decided to say, look, you like our chicken? Why don't you taste this duck?
Which is another one of their house specialties, by the way.
Absolutely. Now, John knows a little bit more about duck. I hear stories about people that hunt. Typically, like I said, they prepare their duck with some type of gravy and rice. Sure. I don't know.
Sure.
But also they prepare gravy and rice with squirrel, pheasant, from what I'm hearing.
A whole bunch
Seems like gravy and rice goes with anything that flies or anything that climbs up a tree.
Go grab a raccoon or something.
Raccoon, just throw some gravy and rice with it. Yeah. It's good. Pretty much you can't go wrong with some good gravy and rice.
Right.
So when it comes to duck preparation, though, John, you said some things that I'm not familiar with. What was it that you were talking about? How to actually prepare duck, or the traditional way of duck being prepared?
Well, one of the things is both preparation and the final product. Preparation has to do with usually getting the skin good and dry, because that preparation leads to the finished product, and that finished product is, fellas, if you get a duck that does not have crispy skin, and I don't care if it's a whole duck or if it's a duck breast, if it doesn't have crispy skin, somebody's failed you. That's the bottom line. Like that's one of the prime indicators that somebody knows how to cook a duck, is that the skin is crispy. Because a duck will generally have a layer of fat that renders right below its skin. So if it's not crispy, either you're going to be biting into a layer of fat, or you got a bad duck.
They mentioned something that it was that the duck was in brine.
72-hour brine.
talking with Tez, that means for 3 days before it ever gets to even being cooked, it's sat in a brine to make sure it's juicy and tender.
Now, what's a brine?
A brine is
If you
I can think about that. A brine is similar to a marinade, but the point is, as a marinade is more about flavor, whereas a brine is usually more about a combination of flavor and tenderizing. And if you're dealing with a gamey
Right.
animal like deer or pheasant, a brine will usually take some of that gamey flavor back out of it.
That was mentioned too.
Especially if it's a buttermilk brine.
That was mentioned. One of the gentlemen that was working on the soda machines was talking about that gamey perspective
Yeah.
when you're dealing with ducks. So that brine makes sense to kind of offshoot that flavor that comes with a gamier type of bird.
Sure.
Y'all, I can't say too much more about Brookside as opposed to the fact that, hey, you want to be on the right side, hit up Brookside. For
It's
real.
A fact. It's a fact.
That's a fact. Again, I would say shout out to our host for kind of recognizing what we're trying to do here and showing some love. That's much appreciated. In fact, that's 2 for 2. That's 2 for 2 where we felt like we've been dealing with the owner of a restaurant who's seen our shirts and see what we're trying to do and try to push it try to engage us. This guy actually gave us a list of restaurants that we should just go check out in the area. So I mean they're on our list. You'll probably be seeing them in the future. But I think going with last week's theme, it gets a strong recommendation from me.
Before you give them that thing, I don't want to forget this, because nothing is better to a meal than washing it down with something delicious.
Okay.
Now, my guy Tezzy, he went with the traditional old canned Sprite.
Yeah,
So,
that's about it.
Ain't nothing to talk about there.
for my guy Johnny, and if you know me, even from last week's episode, I'm a sweet tea type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
I love a good sweet tea. My man Johnny, he loves a good AP as well, Arnold Palmer.
Right.
But this time, you went with a lemonade.
I did. I tried their blueberry lemonade. My goodness. I've had hand-prepared lemonades before. This has to be near the top. Like you get a peach lemonade where somebody, actually made peach juice and made you a fresh lemonade. I've had those types of things. I've had fresh raspberry lemonade, fresh strawberry lemonade.
Yeah.
This has to be near the top. Top 3 fresh, fruit-flavored lemonades I've had in my life, probably. I spent $3 on a lemonade, and we were talking about it at the restaurant. One of the things we were like, well, we've been talking a lot about value. The cup was round and only about yay high.
Little wine glass.
Right, like a snifter. Well worth the $3 for half a glass of ice and the rest filled up with lemonade. I'd pay it every single time. That should tell you something about it because we are all value driven as well. Ain't none of us millionaires. But I would pay $3 for that blueberry lemonade every time. On the strength of his recommendation alone, I got myself an Arnold Palmer on the way out, and because he was bragging about the sweet tea. Muy bueno. Actually, here's another cool thing I'll say about this restaurant before we give recommendations and give a rating. On the strength of his recommendation, I went and got an Arnold Palmer as we were leaving. As I walked out, I remembered I forgot to pay for this Arnold Palmer because it wasn't on my original bill. When I went back in, he said no charge. He just said, "Hey, you're good. You're good." Tezzy?
It's just the little things. I mean,
we got a 10 show me badge rating. You're the newcomer. How many badges? How would you rate this restaurant? And would you recommend it?
Aesthetics, it was great.
Okay.
Customer service, it was great. The food, amazing.
Right.
And I really like that, they actually stood around, talked to us, gave us customer service. Like I said, they acknowledged us when we first came in.
Mm-hmm.
And they even threw us some complimentary meals, like a duck, a drink. So I would say it's pretty much a 10 out of 10 for me. Like I can't really think anything wrong with it.
Sure. But you would definitely recommend Brookside Poultry Company.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, even like I said, the price is well worth it. the price is definitely well worth it. I paid, like I said, I paid $11 for my tenders alone. But of course, any sides, anything, it's additional, whatever it costs. So
Right.
10 out of 10. If you're willing to spend some money, go there.
There you go. What about you, Johnny?
Strong recommendation for me. Man, I can't think of anything bad to say. I could talk about, expecting the consistency of grits to be different and that sort of thing, but those are not negative things. For the first time, I mean, we're only 2 weeks in, but I would have to agree with Tezzy. I'd have to say this thing gets a 10 out of 10 show me badges.
Mm-hmm.
Go and check them out. Go and check them out as soon as possible.
Oh my goodness! I hope y'all shoulders is wide enough. I'm straight piggybacking.
I can carry you, Doc.
Hey, I'm picking this that grown man piggyback. Look, we can talk about the location. We can talk about the parking. All those things wouldn't deter me from going to this spot.
Okay.
Even if I had to park up the street and just walk a couple, just a few steps in a nice springtime or
Might
in
be
the
nice
summer,
to do
even
it,
in the
actually.
winter, might
Yep.
have to put on my boots. But what Brookside did, it gave me the flavor that I've been searching for outside of the norm.
Okay.
And not just because it was outside of the norm, but it was actually delicious.
Right.
It's cool to try something different, but if you try something different and it's kind of like, I get the same thing from the other places I go to.
I'll go back to the old places I go to.
Yeah, because it's closer. But this particular spot, I have to give it 10 out of 10 show me badges. I mean, with the fonts, thumbs up, because it was that good. If my only takeaway was looking down and seeing a chicken breast that I believe, this is me personally, my preference, I believe I want a bigger chicken breast. So don't get me wrong, when I first seen it, I was like, man, $7 for a chicken breast. And then after I was finished eating, man, $7 for this chicken breast. It was pretty good. So 10 out of 10 for me. Highly recommended. If you get an opportunity to sit down with your family, you love chicken, you love great sides, you love a great environment, you love great drinks, please go see Brookside Poultry.
Please.
I will put the address in the YouTube video. It is definitely worth it. I will be going back. I'll be taking my family back. We'll probably go back
We'll probably go back.
as
More
a
stuff to
unit
try.
because it's delicious. Thank y'all for tuning in to another episode of Show Me Cuisine. I'm Clezzy. Got my man John, my cousin Tezzy. You'll see us again next week.
All right.
Peace.